What's up, everybody? If you're new here, my name is Brad, aka B Squared. Thank you for checking it out. If you're not new here, welcome back to the channel. So I'm late as usual, but New Year's has already came and gone, but it had me thinking about like resolutions, goals, so forth, overall things I want to get better at. So a lot of this video is going to be kind of the opposite of what you would usually see. Anybody can talk about what they're good at. That's what we want to do, is kind of highlight our skills, pass that on. But this whole video is going to be me kind of looking at what I'm not good at. So kind of narrowed it down to like 4 baits or techniques that I want to get better at here in 2022. So let's get to it. So the first technique that I want to get better at this year is a drop shot. I'm cool with throwing finesse stuff. A lot of people shy away from it. It's not really their style. I'm comfortable with it. I know it works. I've caught fish on it. Probably my most consistently used one is a Ned rig, but I like a shaky head and a lot of other stuff like that. But I really want to start working the drop shot into the mix more. Number one for me right now is I don't love rigging it up. It's kind of a pain. I'm guessing the more you do it, it's kind of easier and you don't dread it as much. Number two, I need to educate myself more as far as hook sizes, weight sizes, different baits, because I'm kind of one-dimensional as far as that goes. Typically, I use like a size 1 drop shot hook, and I'm going to nose hook whatever I'm using. So I've got this from the last time I was out. This is that hook, nose hooked castaic finesse worm, cylinder weight, and that's about as much as I've played with it. I've used like a spark shad on it too, but I really want to play around with different hook sizes to let me do more of like a Texas rig style bait presentation and just kind of see, like, I know for a fact a Ned rig catches good fish. A lot of people kind of have this mentality of Ned rigs catches dinks. I've caught good fish on a Ned, but I want to see if the drop shot can help me land better fish more consistently rather than just kind of putting all my eggs in the Ned basket. So that's the first thing I really want to work on. So the next one, and I'll be completely honest, like, I've thrown it. I haven't thrown it a ton, but I am guilty of overthinking the crap out of it when I throw them, and that is a swim jig. I think I've caught maybe 2 or 3 swim jig fish my whole life, which I know dudes that just absolutely slaughter with a swim jig. If they could take one thing out on a trip, it would be one. So I know there's value and merit into figuring them out. And basically, if you are not fully familiar with a swim jig, it's going to have a really slim head on it like that to cut through the water, typically a weed guard, and then you're going to put a trailer of some sort on there. I like to put some sort of soft swim bait, but where the overthinking comes in is I try to do too much with my rod when I throw one. I don't know if I've seen one too many videos of people catching them doing the old shake, but I think I just overwork it, and I simply need to just kind of throw and wind, maybe put some handle pumps in. Definitely go more reel, less rod. This is a Guggen Grass Hero, and I'm really thinking that I'm going to start my whole swim jig improvement campaign when spring rolls around and they're up in the grass and they're up shallow, and just really play with it and see what gets bit. I know I'm probably not alone in that, in which we have that bait that we just overthink and try to do too much when really it's not that hard to use it. So definitely on my list, swim jig right here. And the third one is something that might be a little shocking because it's universal in the bass world as being a certified fish catcher. Yep, there it is, the old bladed jig, chatterbait. This is a jackhammer. I've caught fish on chatterbaits for sure, but for me, I handcuff myself and I tend to use them one way and one way only. And I know deep down in this thick skull that I understand you can use this bait 100 different ways and get bit. But for me, typically, if I'm using it, I'm gonna kind of stroke it, let it fall, stroke again. And that's how I typically approach it. I think in my head, I look at it too much as a jig instead of realizing what all it can do. I know on a straight retrieve it can get bit. I know on a retrieve pause it can get bit. I know working handle pumps in and then killing it is really effective. So I've just got to kind of realize on days I'm throwing like crankbaits, spinner baits, whatever, that this is still a really, really, really good option. So for me, I'm just going to make sure that I keep a chatterbait tied on more and kind of force myself to use it differently in different kind of structures and different conditions until I can bump the confidence up to say, I know I can throw a chatterbait and catch a fish on any given day, because a lot of people have that approach with a chatterbait and I'm kind of jealous and I kind of want it. So the last one I'm going to talk about is one that's really, really big and popular right now. And I kind of ventured into it a little bit. I've not been successful with it, but it is bigger swim baits. So I'm going to grab a couple to show you, and then we'll get into what I know I'm guilty of and what I want to do going forward. So yeah, there is a massive appeal and demand for big swim baits right now. In the social media world of things, it's everywhere. So I'm a fan of bass fishing. Outside of just being someone that fishes, like, I'm a fan. I want to try new things. I want to be on top of it and just kind of test the waters when I'm seeing something that's cool. And this guy I picked up, this is the DRT Tiny Clash, and I've thrown it. I've never been bit on it, and it's discouraging as can be, because anytime I get online and I'm looking around at fishing content, I'm seeing people just annihilate them with this bait. It's a really cool bait. It's got the detachable lip. You just kind of give it a pull and you can go that way. When you do it that way, you can kind of get more of like a little glide out of it. And once it's in, it's going to dig a little bit more. And it's almost like an oversized crankbait if you think of it that way. Where I messed up with this guy on the regular is it's so easy to overwork the bait. And I've just got to chill out and just figure out a cadence or a pattern and a rhythm to work this with and stick with it until it produces. I will say, like, I've got a handful of swim baits. I haven't fully gone into the deep end with it, but I really want to gain some confidence in the ones that I have before I buy new ones. This is one I'm definitely kind of holding myself accountable to. 2022, I am catching a fish on the TK. And I hope this video holds me to that, and I hope it actually happens. It's a whole new mentality, though, when you're throwing the big baits. Like, I got a whole setup dedicated just to it, and you're really kind of having to train your brain into, I'm fishing for one big bite. And that's hard for me because, number one, I've never done it. Number two, I haven't received the big bite. So it's just kind of discouraging to dedicate and say, I'm going to throw this all day. And if I don't get bit and if I get skunked, oh well. Like that's hard for me to wrap my head around, because I don't want to get skunked. I want to catch fish. Of course, it's going to happen, but I don't want to just say, this is my move all day. If I catch something cool, if I don't, cool. But I'm definitely going to have to just suck it up and have some days like that. If you are a swim bait guy, I am open to any and all tips that you can provide me. I'm not just going to be throwing the TK. I've got one of the Sneaky Pete's from G-Rat, the Glide. I've got like a Battalion, some other things that I'm going to be throwing in the mix. So it's not just going to be this one, but this one is my goal as far as 2022 fishing resolutions. What do I want? I want a TK fish. So on any of these techniques, guys, if you're like, if you're comfortable with it and have some tips to share, not only for me, but for anybody seeing the comments, feel free to throw those down there. That'd be super cool. Also, feel free to kind of let me know what's something you want to get better at in 2022 as far as fishing goes. I've been super busy, hence the videos where I'm just kind of talking to you. I'm still fishing, but I'm not always like just out there to get content, because when time is kind of tight, I just need to fish sometimes, and that's kind of where I've been at. There is some cool stuff in the works. Stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for some videos later on, or even kind of soon, of me throwing these baits, kind of trying to get better, sharing what I'm learning along the way. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.